Tonight's special assignment, the CBS 2 I-Team is undercover inside some well-known LA restaurants. Over the last 4 months, our I-Team has done the most extensive investigation ever of restaurant health conditions. Investigative reporter Joel Grover joins us now with the results. Joel.
Well, Mike, consider this. In LA, we eat out more often than people in any other U.S. city. And when you're at a restaurant, you often wonder what goes on back in the kitchen. Tonight, our hidden cameras take you behind the kitchen door, where we found some dirty conditions that are enough to make you sick. This is the side of LA restaurants you usually see. White tablecloths, sparkling silverware. Everything looks so nice and clean. But you're about to see what we found behind the kitchen door. Cockroaches crawling everywhere. Food that's spoiled but ends up on your plate, and workers with dirty, nasty habits who are making your next meal. We began our investigation by looking over restaurant inspections. Thousands of them. Every inspection from LA County in the last 2 years. Then we crunched the data. And we came up with this list of the dirtiest restaurants in town, the places with the worst inspection scores. Then we wanted to show you what the customer never gets to see, what really goes on behind the scenes of these problem restaurants. So we sent our researchers to apply for work as dishwashers, cashiers, kitchen workers, and they got hired at places like the Revival Cafe on Beverly Boulevard. It's a trendy restaurant that's known for its healthy California cuisine. But we found the habits of the kitchen staff anything but healthy. We saw workers constantly eating on the job, a major health code violation because it can spread disease. Take a look at this cook. He licks his fingers over and over and over, and then he goes on touching customers' food. On its last inspection, the Revival Cafe was told to discontinue allowing employees to eat in the kitchen. Employees like this guy, who helps himself to some chicken right off a plate he's preparing for a customer.
You'd be totally at risk when you go to eat in a place like that. Because
Dr. Pete Snyder is a nationally known food safety expert. He trains health inspectors.
The person is getting all of his mouth bacteria onto his hands and then into the food.
But we see it here every day. Watch one of those same chefs making a salad. He gets some dressing on his fingers, so he licks those fingers clean. He never washes his hands. He just continues scooping that salad onto a plate and then sends it out to an unsuspecting customer. And more than once, our cameras see this. A kitchen worker sneezes into his hand, but goes right back to cooking a batch of soup and using his dirty hands to prepare other food. It's a recipe for spreading disease.
Lots of customers could get sick in that instance because he's contaminating a large batch of food.
But what concerned our expert most was what we saw in the employee's bathroom, or rather what we didn't see. The soap dispenser was empty every day for weeks. No soap for employees to wash their hands. A year ago, the inspector said no soap was a chronic violation here that could cause foodborne illness.
Obviously, nobody is washing their hands coming out of that bathroom. That means every customer is seriously at jeopardy from the standpoint of not only illness, but death.
So where do the workers wash their hands? Well, we saw this guy doing it in the kitchen sink, right over a pile of thawing meat. Seconds later, another worker uses the same sink to clean a mixing bowl, pouring the dirty water right on top of that meat. The same meat that'll end up as a hamburger on someone's table. And workers at the Revival Cafe are spreading more than just germs. One day our camera catches this guy spraying poisonous oven cleaner right around a batch of potatoes, another major health code violation. What we saw at the Revival Cafe is hardly unusual. Our investigation found thousands of restaurants failing their inspections because of violations that put you at risk. At this International House of Pancakes in Midtown LA, inspectors once found raw sewage pouring into the kitchen. At this Round Table Pizza in Paramount, inspectors continue to find cockroaches and a mouse infestation. This customer spotted 5 mice while biting into a pizza.
How did I know that they didn't run through the food prior to me eating it?
And then we found places like Genghis Cohen on Fairfax, which had to dispose of pounds of food which could have been spoiled. Back at the Revival Cafe, spoiled food isn't always being thrown out. Our cameras found vegetables in the pantry that were moldy, rancid, so rotten they turned to mush when we picked them up. And we found meat sitting outside the fridge all evening long, another major code violation. Sometimes it was hamburger, sometimes it was seafood. These packages of meat sat in the sink for more than 5 hours.
Could that meat make the customer sick?
If it is not cooked properly, the symptoms would begin with vomiting. Something like about 8 hours later, it could be very gigantic diarrhea.
What surprised us most about the conditions we found here is that the county has known about them for years. The Revival has failed 3 of its last 4 inspections. With conditions so bad, even the chief inspector wouldn't eat there.
Would you want to eat in that restaurant?
No.
If the inspectors won't eat in these places, why should you? Tomorrow night, we'll take you undercover again to expose how health inspectors are letting some of the most popular restaurants put you in danger. You'll see how one of the city's most famous eateries is crawling with cockroaches and rats. And we'll show you how a place with some of the best food has some of the dirtiest conditions.
Why aren't these places being closed?